Welcome to this episode of The Gunman. In this video, I'll be taking you through the paintwork on this BMW X1 painted in Standox solvent based base coat. The colour code is B07 and the name of the colour is Graphite Blue. Prep work's already been done on this one. I didn't video the prep work on this job. I prepped it all up obviously and primed the bonnet and the fender. The bumper bar came primed. So then got it all in the booth, marked it up, and prep soled it, or wax and grease removed it, so wiped that solvent over. I just do the exterior panels, I don't worry about the inside. I've found it's not really necessary, they don't usually get wax or fish eyes inside there. So if you do end up getting some wax or silicone holes, fish eyes, then you can just dust your next coat of base coat on it, usually fixes it. So yeah, so then took it in the booth, marked it all up, and yeah, so this what I'm putting down now is actually just a ground coat. So it's not the matched colour that I mixed up. It's just a couple of blues that I found on the bench, and I put a bit of black with it just to get some coverage over all the panels, just to make it so I didn't have to mix up quite as much paint. For this one, I ended up mixing up 700 mils of colour. Which is pretty efficient really, considering it's a pretty big bonnet. You know, bumper bars usually take up a fair bit of paint, and a couple of blooms and a new fender too. So you see, obviously we're doing the inside and out of this bonnet. The reason I'm painting it upright like this is because you'll probably find that you get less dust in them when you paint them upright. I'll flip it over and get it horizontal when I'm painting the last coat of clear, but for all of the base coat and for the first coat of clear, I like to put them up upright. So there's the dust in these spray booths is going to land on the flat surface that when it's lying horizontal. So if it's vertical like it is now, there's less chance of dust going to land on it, because the air flows from the top of the booth. You've got big filters in the top of the booth, and it comes down to the floor, to that fan that you can see behind me. The fan's in that end of the spray booth. So yeah, that's our first coat of ground coat on. It's covered up quite nicely, so we've basically just saved that. And now on the inside of the bonnet, it's only really going to take that first coat of top coat colour, and we'll have coverage. So we saved a couple of 100 mils of colour just there, just by using some old colour that might have been left over from another job. You know, you mix a couple together, and yeah, it's just a way of saving a bit of paint. So I've gone over all of these panels with a high pressure air blower and a tack cloth before I painted them, also to make sure I don't get too much dust in them. So some of the guys been making comments, and they say that they prefer the more unedited videos, so they're getting longer. I've also been getting feedback that you don't mind the longer videos. So this is coming up to 27 minutes, this vid. It's probably up there with one of my longest videos. I used to try and cut them down to 5-10 minutes and something like that, thinking that maybe he's getting bored of the longer vids, because I'm conscious of, you know, keeping you interested in my videos, but I'm getting a lot of feedback saying no, it's no problem having them a bit longer, we enjoy watching. So that's what I've been doing a bit more of lately. So it just about brings our ground coat to an end. Once I've done that, I'll while that's tacking off, while it's flashing off, I'll just grab the tack rag again and re-tack just over the blend panels. Because sometimes when you're putting your ground coat on, you can end up getting just a bit of dusty, dry overspray on the blend areas. So I'm not going to re-tack the panels that I've ground coated, because they're not going to need it, because I've got base coat over the whole panel. So just give it another quick tack over, just the once over pretty much, and then start on with our top coat colour. As I said, this is all I'm going to do on the inside. It's just a one quick coat on the inside, just enough to change it over from that interior, that undercolour that I put down. Other thing I'm using around the 2 bar mark, maybe a touch less. I might decide to jack it up a touch to it to right up to 2 bar on the last coat, just to get the pearls and the metallics standing up nice. Make sure you're getting it on nice and even. I decided I didn't want to flip it over even to put my last coat of base coat on this one, because it was going on pretty even. It was a silver or something like that. I'd probably, the last coat of metallic, I'd probably flip the bonnet back up upright so it's not vertical, so it's horizontal again, and then I'd put my final couple of coats of metallic on while it's laying down. I'd probably find it easier to get the metallic sitting better, but it worked fine for this colour. I was pretty happy with how it came out in the end. So here we go, we're just starting to do our blend coat on those fenders. And then go and put, I'm only putting 2 coats of top coat colour on this, so it covers up really well over that ground coat I ended up making up. To be honest, 1 coat probably would do it, but you sort of want to put your effect coat over the top of that as well. And just to be sure, it might look okay in the spray booth, but then you get it outside in the direct sunlight and it might be a touch see-through, so it's always better to use just that extra coat if you're not sure, you know, if you're thinking, is it or isn't it covered, just whack an extra one on if you got the paint there. You can see that with this spray gun I'm using, the GTI Pro, they've got a great fan on them. Nice big fan on them. It's quite efficient, so you can see there's really not much overspray. Like pretty much all the paint's going straight on the panel. Obviously you're going to get a little bit of overspray, like it's going to not land on the panel, but it's very efficient spray gun there. I've always used the DeVilbiss ever since I started my apprenticeship. So the GTI Pro is actually the same gun as what they call in America the Tenka Pro, I think, and they call it the Tenka Pro Lite. So I use just the standard one, but they're pretty much exactly the same gun. You can actually fit these the GTI Pro Air Caps onto the Pro Lite. They've got a little bit of a different fluid needle, and the piece behind that where the air baffle, it looks a little bit different, but the air cap itself sits on, and yeah, the way the air comes out is still exactly the same. They just designed it a little bit differently. So, and yeah, it's just a bit of a lighter gun, the lights. So I've actually got the head of DeVilbiss Australia coming out, and he's going to come and see me next week because he's over in Perth. So he's going to drop off a Pro Light for me, so I'll be able to do some reviews and demos on that gun, which will be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to having a chat to him too. So you can see they've got a nice big fan on them, and yeah, it's all real good fluid transfer and good efficiency. Yeah, even used to use the original GTI, DeVilbiss GTI. I used to use them before these Pros came out, and the Pros are much better, but the original ones were still quite a good gun. So this is our blend coat. We're doing the blending clear over here. If it was a light metallic, I would probably stay away from the back edge of the fender where it goes to the edge of the door, and then I'd leave maybe just an inch off the panel or so. I'd leave the blending clear so that the extra coat of clear is not going to change the colour. So we'll put that over there ready for the blend on the passenger side door. Effect coat and put it on the bumper bar. So if you haven't already checked out my Facebook page, I've got a Facebook page. There's a link in the comment box of all of my videos. You can click on that and it'll take you to my Facebook page and give that a like if you want. I post pics up there a couple of times each week on a few of the jobs that I do. Got some photos of my own car, which I've done up to look like a race car, and some of the aeroplanes that I've been painting. So check that out to keep up to date. I'll also post a link to all of these vids because I know sometimes you might miss them on YouTube. So always whack them onto the Facebook page. It's all organised. It's all there in one spot for you. So more than welcome. Any questions, comments, as I say, always happy to hear what you think I can do to improve it. So yet again, we're just using that blending clear. We ended up just blending up that pillar here just for the sake of making the colour correct. You're always going to get a slight bit of colour difference. So obviously at the front of the door where we're putting the new fender on, there's full colour. At the rear of the door, there's no colour. In the centre, there's everything in between. So the way this is dried down actually looks quite nice. So I don't think I ended up putting any more over that fender there, but we'll have a look at this door, see how it dries down. From memory, I wasn't 100% happy with the way it blended out, so I decided just to dust a little bit more over it. When I was getting taught how to actually blend a panel, I still remember the guy that was teaching me. He was only, I think he was a 4th year apprentice himself at the time, but he said it's like you're giving someone a backhander, and he said like piss off. It's like you're telling someone to piss off, and you just flick, like you just flick and let go of your hand. It's like you're giving someone an open, and so you can let go of the trigger if you like at the end, or you can just keep the trigger pulled right down like I do, and just do it in the motion of the flick. So it didn't look too bad straight away, but I just decided I'd do another quick flick over it just to get rid of a touch of model that it had there. So ended up blending out quite nice. So I've then gone out, mixed up my clear coat, and came back into the booth. I'll dust myself off before I come back in. So I'm using the HVLP Air Cap again on the clear coat as well. It's a BMW, so they've got a real nice wet finish, and they've got a very thick orange peel. They've got a lot of material on there, so you can get a very nice orange peel with the T2 Air Cap too, but a Transtech as well. But I just find easier to replicate these some of these European cars with the HVLP. So just got to be careful with the HVLP because the HV part of it stands for high volume, so you do actually get a lot of volume of paint onto the panel, so you can end up getting runs. And coming from a normal standard conventional spray gun, coming to HVLP, if you don't have the gun set up properly, it's a recipe for disaster. You've got to have it set at 2 bar. Any lower than 2 bar, and it's just gonna be like when you've got rain coming down, big thick drops, compared to a mist that you might get out of your sprinkler or something like that. So if you've got the low pressure, well then it's going to come out like big thick, and it's just going to go into lots of orange peel. If you get that pressure up a little bit higher, it's going to come out, as I say, like a bit more like finer droplets, which is what they call atomizing. So it's going to atomize a lot nicer, a lot finer. You'll still get a lot of material on, but yeah. So any lower than 2 bar. If your compressor can't handle 2 bar, then I wouldn't use a HVLP. If you're using a different compressor, then a shitty old like tip, compressor, then yeah, you're probably better off just using the Transtek cap, because you'll get better results with that. Yeah, because they can actually run better with low pressure. So I know it's a bit of a, you'd think, oh, but hold on, like HVLP, wouldn't that work better with lower pressure? No, it actually doesn't from my experience. I've found that the Transtek will actually work better with lower pressure, because it doesn't have the volume that it's going on. It's lower volume and lower pressure. So all I decided to do on the inside of that bonnet, I looked at the original bonnet, and to replicate the finish they had, all I decided to do was just put that little bit of clear just around those edges, which sometimes they do. I didn't end up putting any clear on the inside of it because it already just had the matte finish. If you want to go to the next level, yeah, you can decide, alright, well, I wanted to put some matte clear over the top of it to give it a bit more durability. I decided not to. Lots of guys don't worry about it, but it all depends on the kind of finish you're looking for. So for this job, I was pretty happy with just the Basecoat finish. So you can see there's obviously a little bit more. You're going to get more overspray with the clear coat because you're putting it on a lot heavier. And yeah, there's always going to be more overspray with the clear coat than what there is with Basecoat. But there's still, for clear coat, that's actually really not too bad. Not too much overspray. Most of that is actually hitting the panel. Most of the paint's coming out of the gun. So in between coats, I'd probably wait for about 3 or 4 minutes. I did cut that out. You're not really missing out on much when I'm waiting in between coats. So I recommend staying inside the booth, not going outside and getting covered in dust from who else could be out there, panel beaters or painters sanding stuff down. So just wait for your 3 or 4 minutes inside the booth. There's a little tack test you can do. There's 3 stages of paint dryness in between coats. You've got obviously wet, which is straight away, it's going to be wet, your finger's just going to move around in the masking, so you put your finger in the masking tape next to one of your panels on the door or the fender, and wet is the first one. Second one is stringy, so it's going to lift up and you're going to see like cotton candy or fairy floss type thing. It's going to be fibres in between your finger and the paint and the panel, the masking tape. And then the final one, which is when it's ready, is your finger's actually going to peel that tape up and it's going to start sticking to your fingers. So that means it's tacked off and that means it's ready to put your next coat on. So, also the drying times is going to depend on which hardeners and which reducers and the temperature and all those kind of factors. So I always like to use fast hardener unless it's right in the middle of summer and it's really hot, then I'll use a medium hardener. But most of the time I use just a fast one. So up the top there I ended up using just, I got a mini gun, I spotted it up a touch of blending thinners, just blending reducer up the top there. I ended up missing the footage of that, but we then took it out the back, ran the buff over it, and you wouldn't know that there's 2 separately painted areas when you do that. A lot of the air pressure settings too, you can, once you've been doing it for long enough, you can just figure it out by ear. Like when I originally got my first guns, I didn't even have regulators on them. You just adjust them down at the bottom of the gun and you wouldn't have that regulator sitting on the bottom of it. So you didn't actually know exactly what pressure you were sitting on. You just do it by ear, do it by feel. You know, you watch how the paint's going on. You know, like there's no real 100% right and wrong. Like if you can get good results and great finishes using 1.5 bar, go for it. You know, if your gun might spray better like 1.5 bar, and I might say, oh, you should be using 2 bar, but you could be using a totally different gun to me, and it may need different settings. So I'm just trying to give you the best information from what I've found works for me and for the guns that I'm using. And I have had guys come back to me after buying these guns. He said, mate, I just went and bought the GTI Pro HVLP, set it up exactly the way you said it, and he goes, mate, it's really good. I'm really happy with the results. So yeah, obviously you can see the results do work. They work for me, and if they're not working for you, well then yeah, you're more than welcome to ask questions. I'll do my best to answer any questions you may have about spray painting and that. So I have been doing it for quite a while. I've been spray painter. I started in the year 2000, so 14 years. I'm into my 15th year at the moment. I took a break out of the trade for about a year and a half. I was in the mining industry doing drilling, exploration drilling, and then ended up coming back to spray painting, which is what I'm doing now, and I'm loving it again. Having that break actually made me realise how much a good job that spray painting actually is, because you've got a real sense of final finished work. You know, like you can sit back at the end of the day and say, "Wow, I painted that, and that looks $1 million." And before it was all faded paint, and you know, you've accomplished something. Whereas some other jobs, you don't get that job satisfaction. So yeah, I reckon it's a great job. As you can see, I'm using the GoPro on this one again. I'm pretty happy with how the vids have been coming out lately. It was actually one of my subscribers. He left a comment down the bottom. He noticed that I'm using the GoPro, and I was using it. I used to use it just in the corner of the spray booth on the tripod, and he said, "Hey man, you should have a go at like getting a harness for the GoPro and mounting it on your head or your chest or something." So I ended up doing that, and most of the vids are coming up quite good. I think I've got it to the point where most of the time it's focused in. There's a couple of bits, as you can see just here, it's a little bit out of focus, which I can't really tell until I get back home and look at the footage. But I think 90% of the time it's quite good. Gives you a bit of an up close look, a bit better than just looking at from in the corner of the spray booth. Get a bit better of an idea of the distances and how fast I go. So yeah. Pretty happy with how this came out, and I had pretty much the perfect amount of clear. As you notice, it actually puffed out with the last bit of clear as I finished that bonnet, so got that one down pat. So this is the nice wet finish of the BMWs. Nice and clean, a couple of D-nibs, a couple of little bits of dust, but that's pretty standard. You're always going to get a couple. Nothing excessive though. Pretty good off the gun finish. Quick clip of the car once it's been washed. Actually, the lads are out the back washing it at the time, being all polished up. Got a couple of other clips at the end here too. GTI Pro review and demo, and the Starter Jet review and demo. So you can see it's pretty nice consistent orange peel there, and my mate who's there cleaning the car out, he polished it up for me too. Colour looks nice, nice gloss to it. Thanks again for watching, and this has been another Gunman production. Goodbye.